one of the things, Shelley Taylor, she's the social psychologist who's been promoting this positive self-illusion notion. One of the valuable things she's done, I think, was, although I don't think she drew the right conclusion from it, was that she noted that many people who we regard as normal and healthy do in fact erect around themselves barriers of positive illusions. Now, she drew from that the conclusion that to be normal and healthy, well, first of all, that normal people were healthy, which is, I have a real problem with that. But I mean, you can see how that necessarily emerges as a consequence of psychological methodology in a sense, because, okay, I made the argument to begin with in the class that as soon as you apply a field like psychology or medicine, you're out of the domain of science and into the domain of morality. Because you have to make judgments about what constitutes the good. You have to. Now, but people who are in the domain of science don't like to admit that, so they try to figure out ways to determine what's moral scientifically without ever having to address the problem. And the easiest way to do that is by saying, well, here's the normal distribution, right? The optimal level is the midpoint. So you take the average person, you see how many positive self-illusions they have around them, and say, those average people, they're normal. That defines healthy. Therefore, positive self-illusions are necessary. Well, this is a real problem, because first of all, many things that are average we don't consider ideal. I mean, that's why the two words exist in opposition. So we don't strive for average intelligence or average athletic ability or average beauty or average accomplishment at any level. We're always moving towards some sort of ideal. Anyway, so I think Shelley Taylor got caught in her own trap in a sense. She got caught in her own unconscious presuppositions and said, well, normal people have to be healthy by definition. Normal people have lots of positive self-illusions, therefore positive self-illusions are necessary. Well, there's lots of flaws in that argument. You know, I buy her argument that many people who are considered normal by normal standards erect barriers of positive illusions around themselves. But the fact that they do that is no indication whatsoever that it's necessary or desirable. The argument that I've been trying to outline in this whole course is that to the degree that the members of a society, the members of a society erect positive self-illusions around themselves to protect their normality, they will make their group pathological. The more pathological it gets, the more likely it is to do something terrible to other groups. The sickness is going to come out somewhere. Our timescale analysis in psychology is something really, but we don't ever question. It's like, you know, a given phenomena can have a beneficial effect at the level of analysis of a minute. A detrimental effect if you look at its effect over the course of a day. A mildly beneficial effect if you look at it over the course of a week. You know, a tremendously detrimental effect if you look at it over the course of a year. I mean, the same thing can have all sorts of different effects depending on your parameters of evaluation. And generally psychologists pick one parameter of evaluation and say, well, that's representative of the whole temporal framework. And that's just, it's not a justifiable conclusion. Say, people who are high in self-deception may appear more psychologically healthy in the short term if you define psychological health as the absence of anxiety and depression in the short term. But you don't know anything about what that means for their interpersonal behavior. You don't know anything about what that means. You don't know anything about what that means for the course of their lifespan or for their children. You have no idea what it means for their relationships with the group or between groups. So until you answer all those questions, you know, you have to be pretty careful about saying, about making as radical a claim as self-deception is necessary for psychological health.